Hey, what's up everyone? Mike Bennett here at musictrainer.com, and today we're going to talk a little bit about changing a drum head and some tuning fundamentals that'll get you going in the fun world of getting your drums all tuned up and sounding good. So let's take a look at our snare drum here, and as you can see, my head here, as probably with a lot of your drum heads as well, is taking a little bit of a beating, so it might be time for a little change of scenery here on the head. So we're going to toss a new guy on there. So first thing you got to do is take the drum head off. So what you're going to need is a drum key. If you're new to drumming and this is your first kit or your first time doing this, there's probably a drum key included with your drum set or your snare drum. But if not, go to any music store, ask for a drum key. Very inexpensive. It might be good to probably pick up a couple just to have, and even most of them come so you can keep them on your keychain. So like mine are here on my keys, and I've always got a drum key wherever I go. So what you want to do first is take the key, and you're going to see it's going to lock onto the lugs. Simple as that. Sized up. And we're going to want to go around and remove the head one by one. Notice I'm going across, and we're going to talk more about this cross method of tuning, but I'm not going one lug at a time like this. That's not good for the head because of all the tension you already have here. You know, it might bend the drum, it could bend the hoop, and it could break the head, break the lugs, all sorts of, you know, worlds of danger that we could open up if we start going one at a time. So I always recommend moving across one side to the other and working your way around the drum. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a long, tedious process, and it's going to take a little bit of time. And I also recommend, notice I'm not doing this on a stand, I'm doing this on some carpet. So if you got a rug or a carpet, it's the best and safest way to do it. It's going to help you out later, as I'm going to show you. So let's get this drum head off. All right, so we did it. Got the old drum head here. I'm gonna put that to the side. As you can tell, actually, real quick, you can see how it's a little bit bent in, take a little bit of beating. This one doesn't look too bad, but the coating's starting to go, so time for a new head. I've got the rim off to the side here, just making sure we're not losing any of the lugs. And the other thing I try to do is remember where it came off of the drum. So kind of set it in a manner to where I can get an idea of where to put it when it came back on. All right. Since I've got the drum head off, this is the best time to start doing a little bit of quick, easy maintenance. So I always like to have a towel with me. I kind of just get all the dust and the wood chips that might have developed in the drum. Get right around the edge. You know, might as well just take the time to take care of your instrument while you've got the ability to get in here. Doesn't need to be much, just a little quick scrub down there. All right, now let's get a new drum head on this guy. First thing I want to make sure is that I've got the right drum head for the drum, and also the right style drum head. You know, the drum that's going to help get the sound that I want out of this particular drum. So I have a 13-inch snare drum here, and I've got a 13-inch snare drum head here from Aquarian. I've got the right guy. Crack it open. And we're ready to go. When you're putting a snare drum head on, I always recommend a coated head, which is good, which gives a little bit darker sound, but is also good if you're going to use brushes or anything like that. You know, you can't really pick up the brush sound on a clear head, so this coating here is going to help get that sound and give it a little bit darker, more attack. And I usually prefer a single ply head. You know, some heavy hitters might like a double ply head, which is going to make the sound a little bit darker, but also will give the drum head a little bit more life. Drum heads usually come in single and double ply. So that's one film or two films on the drum head. And we also have specialty drum heads, which could be, you know, rings around the head, all sorts of different ways that these awesome companies have developed you know, kind of innovate drum head design and create, you know, great sounds. This one in particular has what we call the power dot. And it also has the power dot here is on the underside of the head. So the top of the head, the back of the head, you can see this little dot. This is going to give the head a little bit more attack and take out the need to have all this muffling around the head, which we'll talk about muffling later. I think so. Let's get the drum head on. So I usually like to put my head, like the logo, I like to line it up with the logo on the drum. Is that going to affect sound? No. But, you know, one of my quirky little habits that'll make everything look streamlined and fresh. So, let's get back to the rim or the hoop here. Well, we have it off. You have the rim itself, and then you have lugs. This is what we remove with the drum key. So, again, little maintenance. Just like to go through wood chips, dust, excess fingerprints, all of that fun stuff. Just give it a quick once over. All right, now we're moving back. I want to make sure all the lugs go to the side of the head. And right now you can see they're sitting right to the side here. And I want to make sure that the head is seated on the bearing edge of the drum. So I've got the logo lined up, doing pretty good here, looking to the middle, just because I want a clean look. And this is the part you got to be careful with. We call this seating the drum head. And be very, very careful and very, very gently do this. It's a delicate process. But I like to go around and just kind of get physical with the drum a little bit and make sure that the head is getting seated to this bearing edge of the drum. So just kind of putting a little bit of pressure on. And now, the fun part, again, getting all these lugs back on. I like to start at finger tight. So you're gonna have to get your hands a little bit dirty here, which keeps in mind, use that same towel as you're gonna start to see a little bit of grease and everything developing on your fingers, just so you're not transferring that back to a brand new clean drum head. You know, clean your hands periodically, but I'm just gonna get these finger tight as a good starting point around the drum. We're finger tight now. The drum head, it's seated on there, I got it in the right spot. Now if I hit it, you're starting to hear a sound, but it's not really the sound we're looking for. So this is where we're gonna start to tune the drum. Right now also you can see, if I press to the middle, hopefully you can see the little bit of wrinkles here. It's a little harder to see on a coated head. On a clear head, you can see this good. If you just kind of put a little pressure right here, you can see these wrinkles. So what I kind of want to do here is get these wrinkles out. So I'm going to take my finger, pushing on the middle of the drum head, and start to go around with this cross technique. And I'm watching, I'm actually getting down, watching this drum head tighten up a little bit. So trying to make these wrinkles disappear. So we got it, most of the wrinkles out here, and the drum head's already starting to feel a little bit tighter. So let's give it a good hit again. All right, still not a good drum sound. But we're starting to hear a little bit of a pitch. So here's where we go back and make sure this drum head is seated again. This time kind of in a pseudo CPR position. I'm going to put a little weight and listen to the sound. Notice I'm not putting all my weight. But the drum has to stretch. The head has to kind of find its home here. So I'm spinning the drum around, putting a little bit of pressure. Most of these drum heads these days, you don't need to really spend a lot of time seating them and cracking the glue. They're made great, but I still like to kind of speed up the process and just double check and make sure that everything's seated right.